NEOHIPO reached out and they wanted to send me this 100-watt mini Bluetooth powered amplifier, and I reckon instead of just making a video review on that, why not combine it with this here, the Canon S50's wide imaging stereo speakers. One of the ideas I've always had is just creating like a vintage DIY speaker build, and whilst I was on the internet, I came across these from Canon. Yes, Canon, the camera company. It's a sci-fi styled wide imaging speaker concept that Canon introduced in the 1990s, and I thought, you know what, these look super, super cool. They have like a Star Wars style theme to it, and yeah, just on appearance alone, I just knew I had to have these. They were faulty with blown drivers, so using this body, this cabinet, this body, this look and appearance, and this wide imaging technology from the 90s, and just replacing it with a more modern driver could look amazing, and it can actually make a great conversation piece in any gathering, or just inviting friends over or listening to a bit of music and then saying, hey, look, I've got speakers from Canon, here's the history on these. So I picked these up and I immediately started making plans on, let's get the drivers replaced to something more modern, something more fuller. I know the technology that they originally used was a bit outdated, even for the time. So yeah, I'm super, super excited for this. When these speakers came out, they were actually quite popular. Just look at it, and they sold quite well. And one of the team members that was actually working on these speakers, and he's got like a great detailed blog over, links will be somewhere below, and name is Philip Ward. And yeah, they've got like a 5-part mini series where they're just talking about, their thoughts and a bit of an insight on the history of these speakers, the history of Canon Audio, their UK-based audio division. So if you are interested in seeing all of that, you can just click on the links down below. Canon Audio was a short-lived venture by the Japanese giant, and it was stationed here in the UK. So yeah, these are rare speakers, but they're not like super, super rare. You can find them on eBay. And the idea here was to use British audio expertise to just create something truly terrific. The platform for all of this was the wide image stereo technology that Canon was developing, and yeah, that's why you have these. What I have over here is the Canon S50s. They did have like this parasitic trio design on it, so they weren't the best sounding, and although the technology did show promise, there was still like a lot of work that needed to be done, especially when it came to sound quality. The Canon S50 that I actually picked up off eBay, they were actually faulty. They had blown drivers. Didn't really affect me as I wanted to replace them anyways. But based on the reading that I have done online, the sound quality for these with the original drivers, it just sounded a bit diffused, a bit muted. The bass wasn't that great either. And overall, for the size, because of this huge chunk of metal here at the bottom, it's just the speaker was a lot bigger than comparable speakers, a lot bigger than it really needed to be. So the sound quality just wasn't as great as you would expect from a speaker of this size, but it still sold well. And unfortunately, the venture was also short-lived, so maybe they could have built on this and improved upon this as well. I would be upgrading these with modern drivers as well as the modern crossover, just to give it a new lease of life in this really stunning platform. Taking a look here, if we remove the body, this is the helmet. And like I said, it is made out of plastic, pretty durable, solid plastic, but it is prone to scratches, a bit of a soft material. So I was fortunate enough to get one that's in decent condition. You do want to take care of it so it doesn't get scratched all over. And then inside we do have all of this as well. We've got this nice soft, woolen foam type of material just to help dampen the sound. If we get this out the way, and yeah, quite simple inside actually. This is all made out of die cast. This may be a zinc based die cast, and then you've got this little ring over here. The driver, I did have a look inside actually, and I have already removed it, and yeah, I'll give you a quick look at that. So as I was saying earlier, the drivers that I got with this, they are actually broken. So this is what you had inside. It's about 130 millimeters to about 120. So the length is about 130 millimeters, and the screws are about 94 millimeters apart. So yeah, depending on how you look at it, I'm not exactly sure how you measure speaker sizes, the diameter, but yeah, about 120 to 130 millimeters. I do have replacement speakers. Those are 120 millimeters and they actually fit just fine. So yeah, kind of just depends how you want to measure it. This was the parasitic tweeter that I was talking about over here. So you've only got your, your left and your right channel. And then the parasitic tweeter goes right here. For the time period, having a parasitic tweeter like this was a bit outdated, and this was one of the flaws in this in the speaker design as well. Actually, just the treble wasn't great, just because of the design that they went for. And this speaker is the back of it as well. You can see Canon. It was designed here in the UK, made in the UK for Canon by Audio Electronics Limited. And yeah, mine's obviously in 2 parts, but I will be getting these replaced. Oh, this feels really nice. When the speaker was installed, it would basically go here, downward firing. And then you've got this nice little protector as well, so people don't stick their fingers inside if they really wanted to. So on the bottom, once you do remove the the bottom plate, you do have a crossover. So I have just now taken out the little crossover here. So I'm not sure why you would need a single channel crossover. If anyone has the answer to that, you can just write it down below. But here it is, that's the back. And you got your left and right. And yeah, it's really big actually. I don't know if this is just because of the era, the time period. I know more modern crossovers are a lot smaller than this. And yeah, that's just everything on there. And it is just single channel, left and right, goes in from here. And then you just got your left and right over here. That would go straight into your speaker. So you know what, let's start off with the crossover. I've got 2 of these. This is the crossover that I'm going to be using, and I picked this one up from AliExpress. Affiliate links will be down below. Just clicking on that, even if you end up ordering something else, really does help out. And the other things that I picked up was obviously the driver itself. This is the speaker, and this is 120 millimeters, and this is from ELC. This is from ELC. I got these at a great bargain actually, just from eBay as well, but they were new. And these were Dolby Atmos speakers, but again, with your own crossover, that shouldn't really affect sound quality. Maybe I'm wrong with that, I will see. And these also have these tweeters just built into the center over here. You've got your left and right for your tweeter, and then your left and right for the woofer. Yeah, like here's the difference, the old ones, the new ones, and it does actually fit perfectly fine. I did have to cut away these little edges over here, just to make it possible to screw in, because of the rounded design here, it's just the screws weren't fitting in like flat and flush. So I did just trim them, and yeah, it fits in just fine now. Together with this crossover, I'm pretty excited to hear how it will sound. I've also got a bunch of other things like some screws, some washers, so standoffs and screws, washers, little pins over here as well, cables. Got some polish as well, just for the plastic helmet, just to make it look nicer, as well as some speaker wire as well. Just everything I think I need to get this working. I decided to just use the PCB from the existing crossover and then just like attach it, mount it onto my new crossover. I just did this for rigidity and for support as well. I didn't have any like card sheets or wooden sheets laying around, so I figured this could be a good trick just to get it all to work. And then I just mounted it in using some plastic standoffs. I squeezed in a bit of epoxy there as well, just to hold it all in place. And yep, everything worked pretty well. It stuck on. I got the cables just routed right through as well for both the tweezer and the woofer. And then the woofer unit as well, just stuck it on there. It fitted in pretty well. On the underside, you have these little guards here that just protect your finger. So I did remove it because, yeah, it was touching the speaker a bit, just on the edges. And I thought this might affect sound quality, but I tried it with and I tried it without and it didn't. And I figured maybe just keeping it on there might just keep the speaker safe, because when you're carrying it around, your fingers kind of just push inside. So yeah, I removed it here in this segment, but in the end I just added it back in after doing some tests. They don't really seem to affect sound quality, at least not to my ears. So yep, I mounted it in place and screwed it all in. It was wobbling a bit, but then I did just use some pliers just to straighten it out as much as I can, and then the clamps, the screws, just pushed everything down, and then everything just fitted well, and it didn't look like there were any gaps or any like air leakage. But that is something you do want to be careful about, especially on the outer ring as well. So yeah, finally after all of this was done, I did just get this little woolen acoustic material, and then I did just throw it over the top again, and then I just closed everything up, and yeah, it looked great. I didn't damage anything, at least not, cosmetically on the outside, and everything just fitted in well. It looked like I did a good job, and we'll test this out next. So everything is plugged in and it looks really nice. The NEOHIPO BP10 that I've got over here as well, really compact and small. It does have built-in Bluetooth, so it's really simple to connect to your phone. And first impressions were actually not good, and I realized that on my phone I had a DSP on, and yeah, I had to really go into my settings to turn this off. It was a DTS X Ultra sound effects for earphones and headphones, and when you're using it with a Bluetooth speaker, it just sounded absolutely terrible. So yeah, I had to go into the settings on my phone. I don't think you can see that. So yep, I had to go into the settings on my phone when it was connected and just turn off all of these earphone, headphone sound effects. Yeah, so if you've got a Samsung, a Honor, or like a modern mobile phone, and you are connecting it to Bluetooth external speakers, make sure you turn off any headphone, earphone surround effects, as that can really just distort and muffle the sound. So yeah, once I turned it off, it sounded really, really good actually. The treble was there, it was nice. The bass, at low volume, it was fine, but when you started cranking up the volume, then the bass did really start to muffle a bit. The plastic body as well really starts to like vibrate, and yeah, it doesn't sound so great with a very bass heavy song, but the treble is really, really good, and this was one of the flaws in the original speakers, with the tweezer design. It was just the treble was really, really lackluster. So the sound that does bounce off these metal plates here, these die-cast plate, it does, it actually sounds quite nice. It doesn't sound too muffled. It doesn't sound distorted, especially the treble. The treble is just really, really there. So you are getting good clarity, clear sound. Just as I was saying earlier, just getting a dedicated subwoofer could really, really bring out these speakers, as they don't handle bass too well, especially like deep bass. Yeah, they just really just doesn't work in this sort of enclosure, and this is made out of plastic, so not the best material for for like a subwoofer. So just getting your own little subwoofer, just maybe not a little one, but getting your own subwoofer, just putting it next to it, can really make this sound so much better. I'm happy with how it looks, and I'm happy with how it sounds. As for the wide imaging stereo technology that Canon has developed and patented here in the UK as well, it works. How I can explain it is, when you've got speakers in front of you, you've got your left and you've got your right, and then you've got that sweet spot. With these, you can move around and you're still in that sweet spot. It sounds really, really cool if you have these in like a larger room, and then obviously these are far apart a bit, and then you're just walking around, especially at like a party or at a gathering. As you're just walking around, you've really got this immersive soundstage in front of you, and it doesn't feel like the sound is coming off to the side or you're just off-centered. It just, yeah, it really wraps around you. I was surprised by how well it worked. But the audio quality compared to like bookshelf speakers, larger bookshelf speakers, or even similarly sized bookshelf speakers ain't that great. So it sounds really, really good wherever you are, but there are bookshelf speakers out there, around the same size, that sound much, much better if you're in the sweet spot. So with this, it's just depending on where you are, it sounds really, if you're moving around, yeah, it sounds really, really good. But if you just want to be sitting at that ideal listening experience, you're giving up a lot there. And yeah, there are better sounding speakers than this. But this wasn't too expensive. I think I spent about 150 on this, putting all of this together, about 150. That's including the price of this NEOHIPO BP10, which I actually got for free, but I think it goes for around £30. So yeah, the speakers all together cost about 120. So including all of this, I'm happy with the story and the conversation piece that I actually get out of these, and the sound quality is pretty good. The clarity is also there. One thing that I did actually struggle with was actually sealing it. So just because of how the how you tighten it, it can be a bit tough. I did have to bend this like center rod around a bit just to try and get it to seal. Otherwise, air was escaping from the from the sides around here. So just getting this helmet on securely and airtight was a bit of a challenge. And then the bass reflex port you've got at the back as well, just for the air to squeeze out of. At higher bass, it does start to distort a bit, like, doesn't sound so good. If you are going to buy this, especially for music listening, getting a separate dedicated subwoofer would be a huge improvement in sound quality. When I did test it out, and this doesn't have a subwoofer out, but I did use an AV receiver, and I did test it out with a dedicated subwoofer, and yeah, it sounded really, really good actually with your own dedicated subwoofer. Then you get this really immersive stereo sound, just wherever you are in the room, and the subwoofer really gives it that kick, that punch. And these can handle the mids and the treble, the mids and the highs really, really well. If you can pick these up at a good price, yeah, just buy them, especially if they're in good condition, and then just switch out the drivers, switch out the the woofers, switch it out to a full range one, something like the one that I put inside, and then also get your own crossover as well, just so you can just balance the load. The crossover that I have in here does go to 3.2 kilohertz, maybe going a bit lower to 3 kilohertz or 2.8 kilohertz might be better. I'm not too sure. I'm like totally new to all of this. For me, it sounds pretty cool, and I'm not able to adjust the bass or the treble from the NEOHIPO BP10 that I've got over here. You don't have any dials or controls for any of that, so maybe in the future that could be an upgrade just to get more out of it. And if anyone has any suggestions when it does come to the crossover and the crossover frequencies, then just leave a comment down below, because if I can improve this further with a more tuned crossover, then yeah, I would love to hear about it. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, like it, subscribe to the channel, maybe even leave a comment down below, and take care.